Not every horror story is fiction. Sometimes the scariest moments happen in real life when we least expect them. Tonight, you'll hear 3 terrifying true encounters. Stories that remind us danger is closer than we think. From a predator hiding behind gifts, to a stranger who wouldn't stop knocking, to a birthday night that turned into something unexplainable. These are true accounts, and they will stay with you long after the video ends. Welcome to Voices of Fear. The voice guiding you through this journey. And you have just entered Voices of Fear. My first terrifying encounter around age 5. This happened sometime between 1986 and 1988 in Burien, Washington, a suburb of Seattle. I was about 5 years old, staying with my grandmother while my mom worked at Boeing and my dad was away in the Army. My grandmother lived in a retirement community, so I didn't have many friends around. I spent most of my time alone in the courtyard of the apartment building. That's where I met him. He was an older man, at least to me. As a child, he just seemed like another adult. At first, he was friendly. He offered me little things, a soda, a snack. Over time, he started to give me gifts he knew I liked, like Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles cards and comics. Each gift got a little better. Each gift pulled me in closer. One day he told me he had something special, a brand new TMNT comic wrapped in protective plastic, a collector's edition. But there was a catch. I had to come inside his apartment so he could find it. Even at that age, something in me screamed, "No." He insisted, smiling, coaxing me. But I stood frozen at the door, my heart pounding. Then, all at once, my instincts took over. I ran upstairs, into my grandma's bathroom, locked the door, and cried. I finally confessed to her everything, the gifts, the man, the offers. She hugged me, scolded me, and told me never to leave the porch again. Not long after, the man was arrested. They found hundreds of disturbing photos in his apartment. I'll never know if it was my grandma who called the police or if he was caught another way, but he was gone, and my childhood was never the same. Sometimes I wonder, if I had stepped into that apartment, would I even be alive today? That moment taught me that evil doesn't always wear a monster's face. Sometimes it looks like a friendly neighbor with a smile and a gift. Since then, I've never ignored my instincts, and maybe you shouldn't either. What would you have done if you were 5 years old in my place? The man at the door. The man at the door. This happened a few years ago in October. I was lying on the living room floor watching YouTube and eating snacks when I heard a knock at the door. I did what I was always taught. I went to wake up my mom instead of opening it. When she answered, there was a man mid-30s, maybe 40s. He asked for someone who used to live in the house, someone who had passed away. My mom told him no, closed the door, and we thought that was the end of it. It wasn't. He kept knocking over and over, 10 minutes straight. Then it stopped. Silence. But only for a moment. The knocking came back, louder this time, more aggressive. Then I heard something even stranger, the voice of a child. A little boy started banging on the door, throwing his body against it. A woman's voice joined in too. The three of them stood there, knocking, pounding, refusing to leave. My mom finally called my dad, who rushed home and confronted the man. He claimed his knuckles were bloody from knocking so hard. My dad told him to leave. He nodded, but as soon as my dad went back inside, the man started again. It went on for hours. That evening, we went out for groceries, and that's when I saw him again, standing in the dark, alone this time. No child, no woman, just watching us. My mom hurried us into the truck, but when we came back home, he was still there. That's when we finally called the police. They came quickly, questioned my parents, and arrested him. The police told us this wasn't the first time. He had done this at 3 other houses. I don't know if he's still in jail or if he was ever released, but one thought never leaves me. What if I had been the one to open the door? That night, I realized that monsters aren't always ghosts or shadows sometimes. They're people. People who smile, people who knock, people who wait for you to make a mistake. And when I think back, I still see him standing there in the dark, watching, waiting. If it were you, would you have opened the door? I will never forget this night. It happened on my birthday during a mountain bike race weekend. These races last 2 days. The first day is practice, and the second day is the race. After practice, my friend and I went to get ice cream. Halfway through mine, I realized I needed to use the restroom. The shop didn't have one, so I walked into the hotel next door. It was around 5:30 in the evening. As soon as we stepped inside, something felt wrong. The air was stale and musty, like damp carpet. The lobby was silent. No workers, no guests, nobody. The only sounds were the harsh buzzing of the fluorescent lights above and the steady click, click, click of one of those little gold Asian waving cat statues sitting on the counter. My friend sat down on the couch while I wandered down the hall, following a swaying restroom sign. The further I went, the more uncomfortable I felt. The hallway ended, but instead of bathrooms, I found a ballroom empty, except for music stands and cables on a stage. A microphone hissed softly with static, even though no speakers were visible. When I turned to leave, I noticed something new, a doorway I could have sworn wasn't there before, leading into an Indian restaurant. Curious, I stepped inside. The carpet crunched under my shoes as though it hadn't been stepped on in years. Dust hung in the air. A neon sign flickered weakly over the bar. The booths lined the walls, but the middle of the room was completely empty. No tables, no chairs. Then I saw it, a glowing sign pointing to a hallway. Bathrooms this way. Finally, I thought, I used the restroom and came back out. But everything had changed. The restaurant was alive. Families filled the booths, laughing and eating. Waiters rushed between tables that hadn't been there moments before. The bar was crowded with men talking loudly, raising their glasses. It was as if the entire room had transformed in the time it had took me to wash my hands. My phone buzzed, a text from my friend. "Bro, what's taking so long? I'm about to leave without you." Panicked, I walked back into the hall. My stomach dropped. It was dark outside. When I returned to the lobby, it was now full of people. The TV played the news. A woman at the desk called out, "Have a nice day, boys." My friend was standing there angry and confused. "Dude," he said, "how were you in there for 4 hours?" 4 hours? I checked the time, and it was 8:50. I had only been gone for what felt like 5 minutes. I wanted to take pictures, to prove what I'd seen, but something in me stopped. Something about the way the place felt like I was being watched. We walked out, and I never looked back. To this day, I don't know what really happened, but every time I think about it, I hear the sound of that little cat on the counter. Click, click, click. Sometimes the scariest things aren't ghosts or monsters, but moments we can't explain. Was it a time slip, a hallucination, or something much darker? I may never know, but I do know this. Some doors, once open, change you forever. What do you think I really experienced that night? While you drop your answers on the comment section, I want you to know that these stories prove one thing. Horror is not always fantasy. It lives in our streets, in our homes, and sometimes in the places we think are safest. Thank you for listening to these true, terrifying encounters. If you made it this far, remember, trust your instincts, stay vigilant, and never open the door without knowing who's on the other side. If you want more real horror stories, don't forget to subscribe and join the Voices of Fear family. Until next time, sleep well if you can.